Hi, Jacqueline Foster here. I'll wait a moment to see if anybody joins us. My name is Jacqueline, and my passion is actually helping others shift from paralyzed to passionate in their lives, to really build their sense of resilience, to trust themselves, to have their own backs. And I love to do that through the lens of our relationships. I love love, but I know love can be really tough and it can be really time consuming and take us away actually from things that we really love to do. So it's one of my favorite things to talk about, how we can actually use love to feel stronger within ourselves. So we're going to be talking about that the next few minutes together, and specifically in the context of 5 mistakes that we make when we're trying to get unstuck in life and love. And I am really passionate about these topics specifically because I have made a lot of mistakes myself around this. And I have definitely made all 5 of these mistakes I'm going to be sharing with you. So, yeah, so we're going to jump in just a moment. So feel free if you are live with me. Wonderful. If you are not live and this is actually evening for me, you can grab yourself a little drink. I've got my wine glass with water for tonight. Okay, so we're going to jump right in. So, 5 mistakes we make in love that just derail us in life. So, one is that we wait for our partner or circumstances to change before we move forward with things we care about or things we're passionate about. And I think this is something that is so seductive and so easy to fall into, as we kind of can say to ourselves or think like, oh man, like when this thing changes, then I'll have time to do this thing I care about. Or when this thing is different, maybe then I'll pursue that thing that I really want to do. And it's so easy to fall into these traps. But what we have to remember is that when we do that, what we're doing is we're expecting and we're waiting for something outside of our control to change before we take action. And it's a really tough thing to do, because what happens is then we're in a holding pattern. We're basically kind of in a waiting game to see, like, oh, is this going to change? Is this not going to change? And so the best way that we can actually give ourselves momentum is focus on what we can control, which is not our partner, which is not not the circumstances outside of us. It's actually just things that we can control for ourselves. So pay attention to those moments where you might be saying, "Oh, I'll change when," or "I'll pay attention," or "I'll make a change to this thing when this situation changes." Notice where you might be doing that, because little by little, that awareness can help you redirect into different places. One of the things we also want to pay attention to is, and this is another tricky one, but it's really important, is that so often when we are upset in a present situation, the thing that we're actually, like, the reason that we're actually getting triggered doesn't actually have to do with the situation we're in. It has to do with something that happened like way before then. And oftentimes, a lot of these kind of things that bring emotional upset and make us feel upset are things that happen in our childhood. If you As you get more and more familiar with me, something I'm really passionate about is about understanding and knowing how much our childhood and the little us and our earlier memories really influence um, how we are and who we are in the present. And so it's really helpful to remember sometimes that when we get upset in the present, it doesn't even have to do with the current circumstances. And so sometimes when we can get curious, if we're what I like to call triggered, or when we have an emotional response, to start to think, like, I wonder why I might be upset about this. Maybe there's something else happening that actually doesn't have to do with this argument or with this thing I'm actually talking about. So, with that being said, the third mistake I want to go into that we make is we often try to resolve upsets or push harder when we're upset. And one thing that I've really learned that makes a huge difference is to focus on relief before action, or relief before trying to resolve a situation. Now, this doesn't mean that we try to we go on forever and ever when we're upset about something and just ignore it. But in my experience, when we're upset and we're emotionally triggered and we're struggling with the situation, when we try to push ourselves to stay in it, and it usually just ends up escalating, especially if the other person is upset as well. It's a different thing if the other person we're with is able to be more from a grounded place, then hey, we might want to hang in there. But in my experience, at least one person in the situation has to be coming from a grounded place in order to work through it well. So just be aware if you're in situations with your partner where you're getting upset and then you're escalating, instead of being like, oh, wait a minute, like, let me step away for a moment. Let me seek relief within myself. And then let me go back to this if when I'm in a better place, when I'm a little bit softer. So that will actually bring us into the fourth piece of this. And that is that when we're working through things in love, one of the things that we do is we often don't understand how important it is to feel safe. And that safety isn't just physical safety. I used to get this kind of mixed up and lost in this a lot, that I would think, oh, like I just want to make sure that I feel physically safe. And if I felt unsafe, I would be like, I don't get it because I am physically safe. Like I'm in a place where I'm okay. But what a piece that I want to share with you here, and a piece that we often don't even really think about as much, is the importance of feeling emotionally safe. And this is something, again, that goes way back, right? Feeling emotionally safe comes up even in our childhood, right? And if we weren't supported in ways that felt right or good, that can give us that little buzzer of bing, 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 like, I'm not feeling safe in this. I'm not feeling good. And that can carry with us into our adult experiences. So, the main thing I want you to take away here and just pay attention to is knowing that safety matters, like, a lot, and that safety matters not just in terms of your physical safety, but a sense of emotional safety as well. So, and the last piece I'm going to talk about, which is, or the fifth mistake, not the second, the fifth mistake that we'll talk about, is that when we interact with other people and with ourselves, we try to do it sometimes without acknowledging our humanness and the fact that we are human creatures and we're not robots, right? No matter how hard we try to kind of push ourselves to do things, to get things done, what happens is we cannot ignore, no matter how hard we try. I used to try this a lot myself, and I know a lot of us who try to push and use willpower can fall into this habit where we forget about the fact that we do have feelings and that we have needs, and even that we have a body that actually, one of its focuses is try to just make sure that we're safe on those physical and emotional levels. And when we try to ignore those parts of ourselves, the feelings that come up, the needs that come up, and just pretend like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, when we're really not fine, what happens is that just builds. And over time, that actually can get really draining and become really hard for the relationship, but also really hard to get in touch with what we need as individuals. And it's so, so important when we're wanting to live a life that we're passionate about. It becomes so, so hard to live a life we're passionate about if we ignore what makes us human, these feelings, these needs, these understanding our nervous system and how that influences how we show up in the world and whether or not we're in a place where we can anticipate possibilities or anticipate threats. So all of this stuff is so, so important to pay attention to. So, your five mistakes that you want to just start to bring some awareness to, see if any of these click for you, is one, noticing, are you waiting for your partner or a circumstance to change before you do? The second is, are you thinking that all the times that you're getting upset, you're feeling triggered, have to do with your present situation or the present argument you're in that feels triggering? Three, are you trying to resolve upsets When you are feeling bad, are you in the heat of a moment where you're really like emotionally feeling off and you're still trying to stay in it? 4, do you forget or just maybe haven't even been given this education before, which I didn't get this education for a really long time and I wish that I did, that more than just your physical safety matters, your emotional safety matters as well. And then the fifth, that we forget that we're human and we forget that being human includes having feelings, emotions, needs, and a body and a nervous system that is there to really help us know whether a situation is a threat or safe. And so all of these things can really get us stuck sometimes in love. And then, oh man, that can become so draining in love and in life as well. So if you enjoy these topics of like how do I get unstuck and how do I feel better within my love life so that I have the time and energy to pursue these things that I care about, I have two ways that you can work with me or be in touch with me. One is I have a course called Paralyzed to Passionate that I'm launching now until October 1st. And I have a link below in the description if you want to check it out. It's going to be a cross between six online modules, and there's going to be a group coaching call as well involved, as well as a community forum on something called Circle, which is kind of similar to Facebook, but it's kind of like its own place with less distractions, which I love. So it's going to be a cross between having like some great education modules where we look at understanding your legacy of love, setting a foundation of safety, accessing unconditional love for ourselves, freedom through control, as I love to call it, where we explore like what do we want to, what are we trying to control? Why are we trying to control it? And how can we undo that? And then also I have modules there on belonging and contribution, which I've found have been so important with for my own personal journey. And then of course there's the group coaching call. There's actually ongoing monthly community connects that I'm going to be offering to really use the tools we're going to be learning in the course. And then there's a couple bonuses of a guided meditation with little you, and then tools to help you work through your negative emotions, because sometimes that can be really tough in the beginning when we're on this journey. So if that sounds interesting to you, check out the link in the description below. And if you're not wanting to enroll in a course right now, but you like this content, this stuff is interesting for you, I'm also leaving the link below to sign up for, or to go to the link to sign up to be on my email list, where I send emails twice a week just to give you reflections. I let you know what's going on. I share these YouTube videos, but you can also subscribe if you'd like to the channel, as videos will be coming more and more frequently now. So sending you so much love, wishing you much passion and love and joy in your life. And I look forward to connecting again soon. Mwah.